Hello, ladies and gentlemen. After a long-awaited Pompously Political podcast, I, of course, was out, with my anniversary. Save your congratulations till later, ladies and gentlemen. But 8 years, Scott. 8 years on the market.
That's
Or
impressive. I'll give you
not
congratulations.
on the market. 8 years off the market was what I meant. I'm going to get myself in trouble here. But as always, cracking Scott up over here with my inability to communicate the English language. But
It's a good thing your wife stopped watching.
oh yeah. She stopped watching the moment she realized we were talking about politics. She was like, "Oh, really? That's what you guys do in the room with the door closed?"
That's what all that noise is for?
Yeah. I was wondering why you were yelling immigrants at the top of your lungs. So anyways, as always, I am Jimmy, and I am joined by...
The fearless co-host, Scott.
Ooh, he's promoted himself. That's when you know somebody's in charge, when they're promoting themselves. They're like, bam.
I am, and if you go back and listen to that again, I added a T to fearless, because I'm that good.
The fearless. I was like, where's he putting the T in that? Fearless? What does that mean? So, yeah, man.
It has been a busy week.
Well, we
2
had that
weeks,
slow
actually.
week. Yeah, we had that slow week, and then I was like, okay, I can take off for my anniversary. Not a whole lot's gonna happen. And then it exploded. Scott, just unmeasurable. Of course, just on
Like a jihad.
and what was that? You said jihad?
Exploded like a jihad.
Oh, I was like, what? So
That's
of
gonna be
course,
I'm gonna make a rap song out of that.
all right. I will market it for you. If you need a hype man on the album, I'll be your Don the Magic Wand. Just every so often, I'll be like, "What the jihad?" You know, like every so often. So that just shows.
Alright, we've taken that joke too far.
Yeah, that just shows how white I am, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
White guy from Idaho.
I was kind of picturing you more Flavor Flav-esque, though.
Oh, Flavor Flav with the clock and a grill.
But instead, it would be like a giant Star Trek Enterprise hanging around your neck.
I have one of those. Maybe I'll burn into it. Oh, just for you, ladies and gentlemen.
So there are two topics in particular, two people in particular that encompass 90% of the news in the last 2 weeks, and I'm sure you could guess, without even trying, who they are: in Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders.
Right.
But we'll start off with the debate because there's a lot to talk about with Trump. He's having a Trump week. Well, I think just a standard Trump week. Well, I think Bernie Sanders is possibly having the best week ever. So.
Right. Well, of course, if you guys weren't aware, because there were so many candidates, they couldn't fit them feasibly on one stage. So it was based off of polling. It was based off their percentages. And those that were polling, I believe it was under 10%, were essentially pushed onto the kids' table or the kids' debate. So it
was basically just the top 10 and then the rest.
Right. But I call it the kids' table. They're just like, get over there. This is where the adults are going to play.
No. You had said whoever was in the bottom 10% was down there, but it wasn't that. It was they just took the top 10 out of the 17. Big boy debate, kids debate for the other 7.
I just remember hearing something about it. It was about the polling percentages or something. It was how they were figuring it up, or Fox News.
Yeah. And of course, they ranked it by who was polling the best, with Donald Trump at the top, followed by Jeb Bush. We're not going to discuss him very much, so I'll go ahead and throw it out now. Jeb Bush looked like a politician. He looked, out of everybody that was up there, he was the most refined. He was the most calm. He just had a very well-spoken answer for everything, proving he is not his brother, mind you.
Okay.
But I was, if I were a Republican, I was thoroughly impressed with Jeb Bush. I liked his answers on basically everything he was asked, all 3 questions that he got.
All 3 questions. It was like an hour and a half long debate, or it was even longer than that. It was a long debate.
Being the number 2 person, he wasn't given the spotlight very much. Granted, they were too busy taking shots at Trump, which it's Trump. You can't do that, but we'll get there.
Right. So Before we get into the big debate, I kind of want to talk a little bit about the kids' table. Of course, you had Carly Fiorina, you had Lindsey Graham, you had Ted Cruz on there. God, who else was on there? Some other people. I think was it Kashish? Wasn't he there? That guy that nobody knows.
It was all the people you hadn't heard of or didn't care about.
Right. So we don't need to name them all because chances are you probably don't remember their names either. So, bam, takes that
Governor
one away.
from that one state, that one guy from that other
Right,
state. Nah.
right, yeah. And what was weird about it was so Hillary centric. It was ridiculous. Everything was about Hillary in that debate. Hillary this, Hillary that. Ridiculous. For a debate that most people aren't even tuning into, that's where you're going to take jabs at Hillary. But then, of course, then the debate that was to follow, the top 10, did hardly anything about Hillary in that debate, which was it was weird. It was a weird sort of contrast between the two. Of course, and most notably, Carly Fiorina was basically just called Hillary a flat-out liar. And you know,
I'd,
she,
I'd vaguely remember that, yeah.
yeah, she called her a liar. Lindsey Graham said that a well-coordinated airstrike will take out ISIS. So just shows the inability to grasp foreign policy and you know waging war, man.
You could just take him out of the campaign, out of the run
Just
right
take him out
now.
of there.
That one comment showed that there is absolutely no way he can be commander in chief. I mean, that's not even just an absence of grasping the concepts of um, foreign relations. It's zero military knowledge, zero tactical knowledge, and a complete overestimation of what we can accomplish with an airstrike. Just,
Right.
I, which this is Lindsey Graham we're talking about, but just completely not based on any type of factual reality that exists.
Right. It just is basically it was a lot of the same rhetoric. Of course immigration. They talked about of course Hillary this, Hillary that, Obamacare. Uh, I think one of them said that they wanted to their first action in office was to repeal Obamacare. So nothing really new there. It was just they what's interesting is they took less jabs at themselves and again was focusing more of their attention on Hillary as
Yeah,
opposed to the uh, the larger debate with Trump and Rand Paul and all those guys. They were taking shots at each other like crazy. So
they were, but in the larger debate, somebody made the comment about, well, I would repeal it on day one, and the response from one of the other candidates was, I would absolutely not repeal it on day one. I would look to see what the plans are, or what the effects would be. I would create a plan, an actual. It might have been Jeb Bush that had that one, an actual well thought out strategy for approaching it, rather than just let's throw it out, because it showed that they understood that you can't just throw it out, and you have tens of millions of people that would affect. So
right, yeah. I mean, just the amount of crazy rhetoric, like I'll repeal it on day one. That type of I think somebody said something, or it was within the first 90 days. Somebody said something, and then I think Bill Maher made a comment like, or no, it was the day one comment. I remember. Okay, so it was like I will repeal Obamacare on day one, and Bill Maher's like nobody accomplishes anything on their first day of a new job. So there you go, completely unrealistic expectation. You're just like, come on, man. Um, what's his name? Ben Carson. Of course, everybody knows Ben Carson's batshit crazy. We're going to talk a lot about some batshit crazy. I know you've been
yes,
waiting. But Ben Carson was asked by, of course, there's a lot of things about Megyn Kelly. We'll get to that. But Megyn Kelly was asking if he would support enhanced interrogation, which he said that not only would he support it, but he feels that we shouldn't let them know what we will do and what we won't do. I was like, really, really? So we have the Geneva Conventions. We have all these rules and stuff that's in place because we're supposed to take the higher ground as a developed nation. That, show these other countries. why we're so superior to them. But then, oh, we're gonna torture you, but we're not gonna tell them that we're allowed to torture or that we're not
That
allowed to torture.
that might be a little out of context because I remember that comment, and what they were also talking about the strategy to defeat ISIS. How would you defeat ISIS? And I remember his comment being directed more to why in the world would I tell you how I'm going to beat ISIS? Because ISIS
Okay,
is probably watching. So
that makes
I,
more sense.
I agreed with when he said that because we do need to stop publicizing so much about our strategy and everything. Like we
Well,
had
he's
the
saying
strategy to go take back Mosul in April, and I ain't never heard dick else about that. So.
right. Well, like he was saying that he doesn't want the military to have their hands tied behind their backs with not being able to do enhanced interrogation, which it's a tactic that's been proven ineffective at gaining intel.
Right,
So
because you
why
will,
would
if you are in enough pain, you will say anything to stop
right?
being in pain.
I mean, and this is you're an intel guy, man. You're an intel guy. So,
And a
uh,
classic, I guess, counter interrogation technique is just feed false information. Talk all day long, but don't give them anything real. They're not going to know it's real. They have to go check everything that you said. Just keep talking. And
right. Osama bin Laden is hiding under the Wendy's in in Aurora,
well, it
Illinois.
has to be somewhat vaguely based in a potentially actual scenario.
Kind of like us going into Iraq in the first place, right?
I don't know what you're talking
Jab,
about.
jab, jab. Oh man. But anyways, so yeah, Ben Carson, he said a lot of crazy shit. But that's the thing that stuck out of my mind was the support of enhanced interrogation. Um, Jeb Bush was a little bit more. One of the things that he was a little bit more sympathetic with immigration, which I think was a nice change of pace for the rest of the room. The rest of the room was like, fuck immigration, right? Build a wall. I think Donald Trump said, build a wall with a door. Or something like that. Some crazy shit.
Yeah.
But he was, I think because Jeb Bush comes, like, I think his wife is Hispanic even. So he's trying to be the Latino
Hispanic
vote.
or Cuban or something like that.
He's trying to be the Hispanic vote while Rubio's like, hey guys. It's kind of funny. But I mean, Jeb Bush actually speaks Spanish, so he's trying. He's at least trying to appeal to the Latin vote or the Latino vote. So you
Now,
could see that
the
in
comment
his
that I
favor.
sent you about immigration while I was watching it, which kind of summed up what I thought about it, and what I guess what I was disappointed that they didn't say fully. They kind of hinted at it, and it might have been Jeb Bush that did it. That you need to do right by the people who have done it right and who are struggling. You know, there are layers and layers and layers of red tape. And what I had said to you was that we can't even discuss how we're going to fix illegal immigration until we fix legal immigration.
Right.
Until there's a legitimate plan in place or system in place for allowing people to come in and to become American citizens and to encourage people rather than to put obstacles and barriers and hurdles at every step in the process. So it takes them 15 years and thousands of dollars to do it. It needs to be smooth. That has to be fixed first. We shouldn't
Right.
even be talking about the borders until we fix how we make people legal.
Well, not only that, but you have to look at why people come over illegally. The reason why is because the immigration system that we have makes it extraordinarily hard. So a lot of the problems that you're having with immigration, if you were to tackle the issue of legal immigration, making it easier, streamlining it, creating standards that work for the people that are trying to come into this country. Because quite frankly, a lot of these people that are coming in, a lot of them have degrees, a lot of them are skilled. They just can't use those skills once they get here because they're illegal and they can't work in those chosen fields. So they end up picking strawberries in Louisiana or picking oranges in Florida, that sort of stuff. So yeah, I totally,
So
totally
we're
agree with
talking
you.
about a system that educated people can't get through.
Yes, we are. We're talking. It's this thing. The tests that people have to take, and like the citizenship test, Most Americans can't even pass. So how are you gonna? Oh, you're gonna get this person that's from Mexico to now take this test. And you know what? And not only that, but the lack of standard, because we treat those that are coming from the southern border a lot different than we have people coming from the northern border. Canadians, oh, they look like us, so they can get by a little bit easier. Oh, they speak English, they can get by a little bit easier. When you
Except for
have
those French Canadians, we'll catch them every time.
Where do you come from? I am Canadian. And then they go, no, get out of here. But that's a really bad French accent, ladies and gentlemen. So if maybe French people that happen to tune into this and
That
they're
that
like,
sounded more like a Inigo Montoya thing. Like,
oh yeah. I don't know the Inigo Montoya French people. I'm from Idaho, Scott. We don't have a whole lot of these people around us. But
oh, that explains a lot.
although we are practically Canadian, but the English speaking side. We're not Canadian or the French Canadians or the other side. Um, but yeah, so I totally got taken off track with that. But so yeah, we treat Canadians differently than we treat Mexicans, and not, let's keep in mind that a lot of those that are immigrating or illegally immigrating are not Mexicans. They're Central Americans. They're South Americans. They're,
Well,
you
we
know,
also treat Mexicans differently than we treat Cubans and Puerto
it's
Ricans.
true. It's true. Was it of course everybody knows Scarface was during the 80s when Cuba pushed all their criminals, and so of course then I don't live in Florida. You live in Florida, so I don't know what the sentiments are there. But the movie portrayed it like everybody thought Cubans were just terrible, terrible people and criminals. So, you know.
Well, to an extent they were. I mean, a large part of the 1980s drug wars were from that push. Um, so, granted, Scarface was an adaptation based off of a movie from the 1930s.
Really?
Well before all. Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So they changed it to be relevant to that period in time. So
Yeah, I didn't know that at all. I'll have to look that up. 1930s Scarface movie. Kind of like a lot of people don't realize was that Fast and Furious the original one was based off of an older movie. And
really,
then yeah, that and Gone in 60 Seconds, Ocean's 11, all these movies that were like, oh yeah, these are cool movies.
I knew Gone in 60 Seconds was. I didn't know Ocean's 11 was.
Ocean's 11,
It's kind of fascinating when you look at movies like that and you start seeing like, oh, there's an original version of that. Holy crap!
yeah. Um, so wow, we could talk about that all day, man. Get into
Yeah,
my
we're all over the place tonight. There's just so much stuff to hit. While we're off topic, Ronda Rousey. Dear God, did you see what she did?
I saw all 34 seconds of it, and it was amazing.
And the best part, which really gave, I don't, I wouldn't say this on air very often, but I'm going to say it for this person, gave the bitch what she deserved, was after she knocked her out and looked back and said, "Don't cry," because the
Yeah.
history behind that is that the other girl had made comments about, well, I hope Rousey doesn't go kill herself after I beat her, and, don't cry when I beat you. Ronda Rousey's father killed himself. So that is a very sore subject with her. So for
Right.
her to just beat the snot out of her and then to throw that at her, oh, that is a bad motherfucker.
Here's this thing. I don't like. I used when I was younger because I had an uncle that would watch boxing, so I used to watch boxing with him and enjoy boxing. And but like I never really got into the whole UFC thing. I don't own a single tap out shirt. You know what I mean? Like I'm not one of those guys. So I didn't really follow the lead up to this until somebody was like, "You need to check out this fight." And so I was like, "Okay, well, let's see this Ronda Rousey or Rousey or I don't know how to say your name. Rousey? Is it Rousey?
Rousey.
Rousey. Okay. So Ronda Rousey, I saw a picture of her and like I was like, "Holy cow! This right here is an athlete at the pinnacle of ability. She is at the apex of physical fitness to the point where why isn't she a superhero? Why isn't she like Batman or something? Because she's in that good shape. Like I look at her and I'm like, I'm kind of scared of you, lady. You know what I mean? Because she just looks tough. And
Yeah.
even when she's got makeup and stuff and her hair done, like I'm still like, whoa, I would not mess with you.
Yeah.
Um, and to see her, apparently the total of her fights prior to this fight, she done had beat them all in a total of like a minute and 40 seconds or something like that, a combined time. So she's really quick at beating these people down, taking them out. And then of course, then I started looking into the history between her and what was I don't even remember. She's so irrelevant at this point because she just
Yeah.
got her ass beat in 34 seconds. I don't some is a she's from Brazil or some shit. I don't know, but that's how much I follow the sport. But then like her talking about her dad, uh, committing suicide and stuff like that, I was like, oh wow, this girl's gonna get her ass kicked now. Like there's no question in my mind. I had no question. I should have put money on it because I knew that she was gonna get her ass kicked at that point. And then
And
when you
even
saw
that,
them
it was
match up,
even that for Rousey. I think it was more sloppy than normal because she did miss a few punches, and she took a few, which normally she's a bit more clean than that. But did you watch the fight that she had before that against Cat something? No, it was 16 seconds. Basically, she came out and right out of the gate, um, jumped up into her face, and then oh, is Jimmy back? We lost Jimmy. Jimmy back.
there we go. I'm back.
All right.
Yes,
So
technical difficulty.
Cat Z or whatever her name was, the fight was 16 seconds long because she came out super aggressive, jumped up, tried to knee her in the face, and then Rossi just put her on the ground, got her in an armbar, and was it. 16 seconds to defend her title. Follows it up with a 34-second knockout. I mean, this woman is unbelievable. That kind of dynasty for the last like 5, 6 fights she's had, that's lasted 2 minutes in total. Like that's up there with like the Ali's and the Frazier's of the fighting world. Like that is an incredible feat.
One of the things again that kind of like intrigued me about her is it was an article that was with Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was like, "Hey, I want to meet Ronda," and so Ronda was like, "Really? Mike Tyson wants to meet me? This is weird." So she was training. He was watching her train, and Mike Tyson himself was like, "Whoa, she trains hardcore. Like this is the real deal." And when Mike Tyson's had a troubled past, but at the same time, he was an excellent, superb boxer, right? The guy had a lot of rage and a lot of anger issues, but he took it into the ring and he won matches. Okay. So when he's saying that's the real deal right there, I'm inclined to believe him. I'm like, okay, Mike, I believe you. And so I was like, this girl's totally gonna win. She's totally gonna win. I didn't think she was gonna win that fast though. Like 34 seconds,
In
out
any
of
match is
control,
amazing. But to be able to
out of
pull that
control.
off consistently, who
Yeah.
who else is there? Like why would you even fight her at this point? Wait
Right.
wait 10 years till she's old and rusty, then go after her. You can't beat her right now.
Well, here's the thing. Somebody else has already challenged her. Somebody named Cyborg or something. Cyborg.
Cyborg, I've read up a little bit on that. Basically, what I understand is Rossi won't fight her because because she's a junkie. Like she shoots up with
Oh.
steroids and everything. So Rossi
Uh,
will only fight people that are on the same, I guess, clean playing field. Um,
okay. That makes sense because if you're gonna do a sport like that, and then you have somebody that gets an unfair advantage because they're blood doping or they're doing steroids or whatever, even in sports like baseball, like it's a ridiculous thing to do.
yeah,
Um,
I think
when
she did say that if she goes clean, she will fight her though.
okay, which it's in your best interest, Cyborg or whatever. I think there was some Manny Pacquiao or whatever allegations a long time ago about the same, like he was blood doping or something, or using steroids. I don't know.
Blood doping.
Yeah, blood doping is what Lance Armstrong was doing. What it is if I'm again, if there's somebody that's more educated in this than I am, but the way that I understand it is that it pumps more oxygen into the blood, allowing you to, I guess, like, I don't know, science. It's science, Scott. But
Okay.
for something like when you're for cardio, like having extra oxygen or something within your blood or something, or allowing making it to where you have more oxygen,
Yeah.
uh, makes it to where you can go longer, your endurance and stuff like that. And that's what Lance Armstrong was apparently doing, was blood doping. I kind of want to look that up just to make sure I'm not crazy. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, man. So while I'm looking it up, if you want to, I'll turn the floor over to you real quick.
Well, that's really it on the sports scene. Just that Ronda Rousey is a beast. So we can go back to the debate.
Okay.
Did you
Real quick.
wrap up what you wanted to say about the kids table?
Uh, yes, but real quick, blood doping, Scott, is the practice of boosting the number of red blood cells in the bloodstream in order to enhance athletic performance. Because such blood cells carry oxygen from the lungs to the muscles, a higher concentration in the blood can improve athletic aerobic capacity, VO2 max, and endurance. So that's what that official,
Interesting.
yeah, and it had something to do with oxygen and in the bloodstream. But anyway, so yeah, back on topic since we got to kind of deviate a little bit into the Ronda Rousey thing, which oh man, it was amazing. Um, the Trump Megyn Kelly. First off, the comments immediately. Uh, or what was that other guy? The one that just looks like a douche. He looks like a douche. He's on Fox News.
Brett
He just has
Baer?
that. Maybe get a picture of the dude if you. What's his name? Brett Baer.
Maybe.
Brett Baer.
I know that was one of them.
Yeah, Brett Baer. Brett Baer. So I'm gonna try and see if I can show you guys a picture of him real quick, just so you guys can see the. He just looks like a douche. I want everybody to share my
Yeah, Chris Wallace, Megan Kelly, and Brett Baer.
Brett Baer.
Yeah, he looks like that. I'd have to agree.
Okay, so how do I?
Before we get off into Trump too much, let's talk about those three hosts, the triumvirate of moderators, I guess, because normally isn't there only one, but in this one they had the three. Yeah, there he is. Let me pull him up.
Yeah, you see him?
Yep.
Yeah, look at that guy for a second. If you could see my just look at that smile. Look at these eyes right here. He looks like a guy that's gonna sell you a car that wouldn't even make it off the lot. Like he just looks like a shyster. He just looks so it already his face is already not working for him. And then his immediate question to kick off the debate was, would any of you guys not support uh, another person to get the nomination and or not run for an independent ticket, right? Which is clearly it was I'm paraphrasing there, but it was along those lines, and it was clearly directed at Trump, is what it was. Clearly directed at Trump, and then of course everybody just stood there with their hands down, and Trump's the only one that raised his hand, like, yeah, I totally. I'm not gonna back those fucking fools over there. Like he's like,
Yeah.
I don't admit it. So I mean, like it's
Well,
clearly
I
they're
mean,
taking shots at him.
let's be honest. 75% of those questions were directed at Trump
Yeah.
in one way or another. I mean, that was just the and the reason I want to talk about the moderators first, especially Megyn Kelly, she can say what she wants, but if you go back and watch it, and like I was saying, I've watched that damn thing twice. She is going in on him. She is
Right.
trying to prove a point, and to her defense, she didn't just do it to him. She did it to a couple other. I think she did it to Bobby Jindal, and she did it to, I believe, Rand Paul as well. So I don't know what her deal was in that, but it wasn't asking questions to get the opinion of the moderators. It was asking questions to prove a point. That's not really the purpose of a debate. That's not what they were there to do. They weren't there to respond to her opinions on the matter. They were there to respond to public opinions, and she took everything and kind of made it a little bit personal. So when Trump fired back at her, honestly, I didn't blame him.
Right.
He was crossing several lines, in my opinion.
Well, the thing about it is, it it's kind of weird because it was a Q&A debate, so a lot of the questions were coming from listeners or viewers or whatever that were tuning in that you could live tweet questions to and so forth. So a lot of those questions, but I do feel that a lot of those questions were tailored and geared towards taking jabs at Trump. I am all on that train. Because, I mean, think about it. You have this guy that's a walking gaffe machine that says whatever the hell is on his mind and doesn't apologize for anything, right?
Right.
Uh, of course, the majority of your questions, your jabs, are going to be taken at him because he's the one that's going to bring in the ratings. Jeb Bush isn't going to bring in the ratings. Trump is, you know. They might as well have called it Trump versus the world debate. That would have been
Right.
a fitting title. But yeah, Megyn Kelly was clearly not a fan of Trump. It's apparent. I don't know about Brett Baer, Mr. Car salesman. I don't know how he feels about him, but clearly, like, the questions were geared towards him a little bit more.
They definitely were, and it really kind of started out with a bang whenever he asked that question, and Trump was like, "I'm not supporting him." Like
Yeah.
he did pledge that he won't run as an independent. He did say that, but he
Right.
said flat out he will not, doesn't have to support or like the other candidates. And then, Rand Paul took the bait, so to speak. He buys politicians, blah blah blah, whatever. To started going in on him until Trump shut him down. Like, well, I've given you a lot of money. I mean, what are you talking about?
Well, yeah, because they were asking Trump in particular about his connection with the Clintons, and like he was like, "Yeah, I helped her out. I gave her some money in exchange for a favor." And then Megyn Kelly's like, "Whoa, what favor? What favor was that?" And he's like, "I wanted her to come to my wedding."
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, like, and then that was when they started getting in with Rand Paul, and then yeah, Trump was like, I gave money to you. I've given money to all you.
Well, even to go back on the question directed at Trump, you had the what was the other guy's name? Chris Wallace, who asked the question about Trump's, and he has information on the people that are coming over from Mexico, and then Trump gave a standard answer. He was like, "I'm going to ask you again. What is your evidence? What do you have? I'm going to give you 30 seconds to answer me." It's like, who the hell do you think you are talking to people like that? He doesn't have to answer. He doesn't have to provide anything to you.
Right. Yeah. It's crazy. It was crazy. A lot of it was directed at Trump. But one of the things that caught my eye was the Chris Christie, or Chris Krispy Kreme, as I call him, and Rand Paul went head to head about the Patriot Act and personal liberties. Do you remember that whole bit?
I
Where it
do.
was, yeah. I think the first half hour of that debate, I was like, when the hell is Chris Christie gonna not throw a comment that is tied to 9/11? Like, it was almost like, hey, Chris Christie, you have any response to that? And he was just like, 9/11. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it was like. But anyway, so he was basically like, I'm the only person qualified to talk here because my city, first of all, he's from New Jersey, which I know is close to New York City, but come on, it's not your city.
Yeah.
Okay? He's like, my city, I was there with families and blah, 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 and my wife was a block away, which I'm not disputing that. But that doesn't, just because your wife was in close proximity to 9/11 doesn't give you the credentials, in this debate. It doesn't make you an intelligent on the subject.
More importantly, it doesn't give you the right to limit Americans' Fourth Amendment rights.
Right, which is what he was arguing for. He was basically saying that he's like, how can we tell the difference between terrorists and normal people? Let's just gather records on everyone, and in that way we'll know. And then, of course, Rand Paul was like, the Fourth Amendment, blah, 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 Fourth Amendment, shutting him down and going, I would rather gather intelligence on terrorists and not normal Americans.
Which, to Christie's point, that is a valid point. How do you know that you're gathering on terrorists and not normal Americans? And how do you know that you're not missing anybody? In order to do that, you would have to spy on everybody. Again, Fourth Amendment rights. Just because, let me back up. The chance of you being a victim of a terrorist attack is about 1 in never. I
Right.
mean, the odds are so slim. But it's what's used to limit your rights and for you to volunteer to give up your rights under the Constitution,
It's a
which
scare tactic. It's totally a scare tactic.
exactly what it is. Now, when you want to talk about the FISA courts or FISA courts, I forget what it stands for. We studied them in school.
Yeah, visa
Uh,
courts is where they give you the
Authorization to do the wiretaps
authorization
and everything.
to do wiretaps and search and seizure in reference to a
Now,
little bit.
as far as Christie's comment goes, in I think it was 2012, there were just over 5,000. I want to say 5,000. It's been a couple months since I went over it. So we'll say just over 5,000 for now. Requests put in the FISA court. Every single request was granted.
Right.
All of them were granted as requested, with the exception of it was one or two that were toned down slightly. They were still approved, but so name one instance, one anything that has an 100% approval rating. Now name something in the government that has a 100% success rating. You can't. It's not possible for every single one of those requests to have been legitimate. It's just it's statistically impossible. So you can't tell me that you're not violating people's rights with that, which is what Rand Paul is arguing. Fact is, trying to do it that way is probably the most effective way, but there is no way to do that without violating rights. So we need to find another way to do it.
Right. Which I'm totally on board with that. It's the one thing that Rand Paul said that makes sense. The other thing is that
Hey, 1 out of 30 ain't bad.
Oh man, don't even get me started. But so it's weird. He's all for personal liberties, but then when it comes to things like getting money out of politics, he's like, no, money's great. Money's great. Put money in politics. Really weird. But on the topic of that, the Fourth Amendment and people's ability to not be spied on by the government. Okay. When it comes to that, imagine if we applied that same argument of well, we don't know who are criminals and who are not criminals in America, so let's just monitor everybody. So Scott, you and I may not be criminals, but because we have the potential to commit a crime, therefore we need to be monitored. It's the same thing. How do we catch criminals in the normal civilian sector? We wait for them to commit a crime or would attempt a crime. Okay, if you have security policies that are put in place, like TSA at airports, making sure that they don't get bombs on airplanes, that makes sense. Okay, that sort of preventative type material, rather than wiretapping everybody's phone records, everybody's emails, everybody's everything. No, that's not how you do it. There's ways that you can stop events from occurring and then catch terrorism that way, that you don't have to violate that Fourth Amendment right.
Right.
So, who are we going to talk about next?
Well, we didn't really dive into the Trump and Megyn Kelly spat because there were the comments, the jabs during the debate, the Rosie O'Donnell comment, and then his comment about bleeding from wherever afterwards, which he later came out and said she had a nosebleed or something, I don't know, bleeding from her nose, which kind of made sense. I could see where you could mean that, but chances are that's not what you meant.
Right, right. Well, then why? Okay, somebody has a nosebleed, right? Why pick on her for a nosebleed, man? What? Because you're
it's
rich.
Not the end of the world. It's not cancer.
Yeah, it's like if you're rich, you don't get nosebleeds. If you're not, like, his whole comments was that he doesn't feel that she was professional. It goes back to the whole thing about him talking about the lady that tried to breastfeed in front of him, and he was disgusted by it. Like, there's this weird sense of like what's rude and what's not rude. I mean, granted, if you're gonna nurse somebody, be like, hey, do you mind if I step out and nurse my kid real quick? I just had a kid.
Right.
Then I'll come back and interview you type thing. That's It's fine, and which I'm pretty sure she just didn't whip it out and just go, "Here we go, Donald Trump. Let's keep going. What do you think about foreign policy?" No, that's not what happened. But of course, because he has that weird sense of entitlement because he's rich and he thinks that he's practically a god because of how much money he has. Getting on people about nosebleeds. Come on, Donald Trump. Go f yourself, personally.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he was in the right. I mean, she was going after him hard enough that he deserved a couple comments back to kind of level.
Right. No, I'm not disputing that at all. I'm just saying that once the debate is over, there's no need to attack her anymore. You know what I mean? Like it's not going to hurt or help you whatever Megyn Kelly says. And apparently he got banned from Fox News because of those comments. If I'm not mistaken.
Not that it matters. I mean, HuffPost doesn't even cover him anymore. They've moved his. He's no longer in the political section. He's in the entertainment section because they just assume the campaign is a joke. Which, if he gets the nomination, some people are gonna regret their words. But that's a story for another time. But the thing with Trump is that people don't get it, especially the liberals, and it's. Okay. I hesitate to use this word, but I'm going to. The libtards that are out there are the ones that are fueling Trump right now.
No, Scott. That's our word. You can't use it. That's our word.
You've got pull up HuffPost right now. At any point within 24 hours of Trump making a comment, pull up HuffPost. Half of the comments or the articles you're going to see are trying to bash Trump for misogynistic comments, insensitive comments, unprofessional comments. That's the point. That's the whole thing about Trump. The people that are making those articles, you're the problem that he's trying to identify, that he's pointing out to everybody, that everybody is sick of hearing. Just because you made a joke about a woman breastfeeding or something, or you made a joke about a woman, does not make you a misogynist. Just because you make a joke about slaves does not make you a racist. But the libtards are so quick to jump and throw those labels on everything that is really what this comes down to, is because it's the libtards that are establishing this politically correct community where everybody has to be treated with equal. It's impossible. You know how many divisions you can create between one person and the next, and then do that for 330 million people? It is impossible to be in a fully politically correct society, and that is really where Trump is hitting. So these people that just keep writing there, they're not getting it. They're just fueling him more and pointing out why he has such a large following right now.
Right. Which they must be listening to you, because there's not a single. There
were 7 this morning when I checked.
Yeah. Well, there's a "Don't Cry for Megyn Kelly," which that's an opinion post. But other than that, I don't see anything there's a lot of Elizabeth Warren on here.
Well, I checked earlier this morning. It's like every day when I check, there's always a handful of articles that are. The politically correct crowd, the libtards, trying to bash Donald Trump unsuccessfully, and then there'll be 1, maybe 2 articles kind of explaining what I just said about it doesn't matter. This is why Trump is succeeding.
And on that topic, you're absolutely right. I think that we can clearly identify the problems with the Republican Party and their brand, but the problems that we have as liberals or Democrats is we do have a liberal base that doesn't like they don't like politically incorrect commentary. They like to put everything in a nice, neat, let's not offend anybody type behavior, which to a certain extent is good. But the amount of filter and regulation, self-regulation that you have, you tend to not get as genuine of people anymore, right? Because just because they don't say it doesn't mean that they don't believe that. You know what I mean? So I would rather have somebody come out and say something racist that actually is racist and be able to identify them as a racist because, oh, well, you just said something that's racist. Therefore, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As opposed to somebody that is secretly racist that's trying to play nice and act like he's not racist. And that's what you tend to have is with this PC crowd, this oh, don't say anything because you can't. Bill Maher was talking about it. Jerry Seinfeld was talking about how they don't even go to college campuses anymore. They don't go to college campuses anymore because and do speaking engagements and comedy or whatever because I don't know why I put comedy in air quotes like what he's not funny. So yeah, they don't go there anymore because the crowd there gets offended by everything they say.
Right, and
There's some
it's
truth to that.
the problem with all of this is that we're acting like that's not the type of speaking or communication or jokes that 95% of us laugh at and say at home.
Right.
Behind
right.
closed doors, everybody is making those comments. But then you want to come out and get all holier than thou because you're in a public forum and, oh, you can't say that. I'm going to steal that racist joke and go tell it to my friends in 3 hours, but you can't say that and you should be fired.
Right.
Like that's the mentality.
This is what Bill Maher said, and I'm very angry about it. But here, it's a funny joke. You want to hear it? You want to hear it?
Yeah.
You know, it's the whole mentality. Well, yeah, totally spot on. The other thing is, man, I hate the term millennial. All right, millennials. Okay, I don't even know exactly. I've been told that you and I, Scott, are in the millennial generation. I thought I was Generation X or whatever. I don't even
I have
fucking
no
know.
idea.
What I label millennial is this new age sort of like everything is okay, everybody get along, blah 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 blah. To the point where like it's filtered into every aspect of our lives. Where when Sam Harris makes a comment about Islam being, having its issues with terrorism and applying legitimate criticism to Islam, then he's being branded as a racist. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
it's ridiculous that you can't even criticize anything that is clearly causing problems. Like, okay, this ISIS is clearly Islamist. All right, they're not anything else. It's not like, oh, we're terrorists that happen to be Islam.
7% of ISIS is Christian, and another 3% is Buddha. So Islamic extremist bullshit. They're all Islamic.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, whoa, those are some startling stats. I didn't know that. There's some Buddhist jihadists. But I do have to say the amount of Christian bumper stickers that I see roaming around about how Jesus is Lord and stuff, I kind of wonder if they would just often blow up a building. We get in trouble for that. Sorry, Christians.
I'm not.
I just don't want to get attacked by the PC crowd, Scott. We're talking about them too much.
I couldn't care less. Let them come.
Whoa.
Let them come. Could not care less. So, anyways, that's an angry topic.
Let's
go on to something.
Joke. Let me tell this joke real quick, Scott, because I know you're going to get a kick out of it, and I know the people listening to this are going to get a kick out of it. So apparently there was a Christian Twitter, okay, and that posted. It was a Christian conservative Twitter, and it said, "What type of gun do you think Jesus would like?" And somebody responded, "A nail gun." So it made me laugh. So I was like, the next time I talk to Scott, I'm gonna have to throw that out there. So, yeah, the PC topic reminded me of that. So, but anyways.
Right. So on to happier news, and the guy that's having the greatest week or 2 weeks in America right now, Bernie Sanders, is on fire.
This man.
Even to the point where there were a couple people in the debate who said, "Well, let's be honest, you're going to be facing Hillary Clinton as a Democratic," and there was one person, might have been, it wasn't Rand Paul, it might have been Rubio, that stood up and said, "Well, let's not be so sure it's going to be that person," because of the amount of support Bernie Sanders is getting. Today, he picked up the support of the National Nurses United union, which just continues to go with all the unions he has backing him. And then he live tweeted the debate, and some of those tweets were amazing. Do you have any of those ready to go?
I do not, but I'll let you I'll pull it up real quick while you're kind of talking about it.
So he live tweeted some of the issues and the stuff that was going on, and really was kind of the star for the debate for not even being there because his tweets were so good. And I'm not trying to Bernie Sanders fanboy right now, but it was really on point. Then he was followed a couple days later. He had a speech, I believe it was in Seattle, that was interrupted by the Black Lives Matter crowd, um, which we can save that conversation for another day. I'm not going to drop any comments just yet on that.
Right.
So his whole speech got interrupted. He had to cancel it. And then he followed that up like a day or two later, yesterday, with his biggest crowd turnout thus far of 28,000 people,
I
which
actually have a
is
picture of
amazing.
that real quick if you want me to
Sure, go ahead.
pull this picture up since I have his Twitter. You said 28,000. You said right.
Yep.
Was the Look at this picture, ladies and gentlemen. See how many people? And this is before it started. So by the time this got done, I'm sure this was full.
A packed arena for a presidential candidate. Not even the
Hashtag
top
burn.
presidential candidate.
So yeah, so this is his Twitter feed. I'm trying to find where was the one? Yeah, it's been a day or so. But he basically saying I'm a supporter of the Dream Act. It's being slow. But anyway, so um, I'll just tell you the tweets. I don't need to show you. But he had one of the things that was really that he was really spot on while I'm looking for these was, and he wasn't the only one that noticed it. Bill Maher noticed it. Bill Nye noticed it. I think Neil deGrasse Tyson tweeted something about it as well. And the startling omission of climate change and income inequality. Both of those were really just kind of like not there, non-existent. They just weren't
But
talked about.
Rand Paul has followed up with that because he believes that income inequality is caused by some people working harder.
That's right. We were laughing about that beforehand. Really, really, that's your answer. God,
Education, you need some.
God, that's like, oh man.
Did you hear Ben Carson's closing comments?
You refresh my memory. You watched it 2 times. I only watched it once, man.
It was really funny because all the candidates, like, well, I'm special because and Carson was like, I'm not really one to tell you what I'm special about, but I'm the only one that's ever separated Siamese twins. The only one that's ever held a beating human heart. Like he went into like his doctorate conference. It was actually pretty entertaining, but
Wow. Okay, so I got some of those tweets, by the way. Fucking Ben Carson, I swear. He's retired now, right? He's not doing any surgeon stuff anymore.
I would hope so. I would hate to have my surgeon come in and it's like, hey, sorry, I just had a campaign stop in Portland, but I'm here now to cut your chest open.
It's okay. I was approving some transvaginal ultrasounds, so. So Bernie Sanders, we're back on the Bernie train here. What I'm hearing so far: tax breaks for the rich, more people losing health insurance, and more talk about war. This is not what we need. That's a tweet from Bernie Sanders during the debate. Yeah, there's also a picture of Bernie Sanders. I keep doing the screenshot. This is like my new hobby now. But you got to see the face, man. The face. If you're looking at his Twitter too, man, look at this. Bernie Sanders looks like he's like, what the fuck? Like, what are these guys talking about? Like, he looks like.
It's like he's reaching over to tap that guy on his left, like, hey, am I hearing this right?
Yeah. It almost looks like he's holding his hand, but at the same time, it almost looks like he's trying. He looks like he's watching Two Girls, One Cup. Like he just looks disgusted. He's just like, ugh, what is this? He also tweeted, "Does any Republican agree with the majority of Americans who now strongly support gay rights and same-sex marriage?" So
Well, there was a comment during the debate from the Republicans that supported same-sex marriage and rights for LGBTQRSTV.
that's offensive. Yeah, that's
got
offensive.
a pretty large applause from the crowd, which was largely Republican. So that, I mean, there was a whole article about how that question alone and the response really shows a called paradigm shift within the Republican Party.
Well, because yeah, they gotta know by now. Okay, the overwhelming majority of the American people support That's not splitting it up on partisan lines. The American people, not Republicans, not Democrats, they overwhelmingly majority of them support same-sex marriage and gay rights. So yeah, there goes your voters. If you start cutting stuff like that out, they're realizing now we need that. We need that in our platform. Uh, yeah, which is weird because you got people like Mike Huckabee that guy. I'm still upset
Oh,
about
he
him.
was in the debate too.
Yeah,
Nobody
he was. Yeah,
nobody
he was.
cares.
Yeah, he was that noticeable in the debate. They were like, "Who's that old fucking puffy guy over there that's just sitting over there saying jack shit?"
There
Yeah.
were some. There were a couple people that when they spoke, Huckabee was one. Cruz was another one for me. You could tell they were trying everything in their power to form some type of coherent, politically correct statement that they could give at that time, and it sounded so forced. Like Huckabee comes in at third as far as the most speaking time at 6 minutes and 40 seconds. I would venture 3 minutes of that was him between words trying to figure out what the next word out of his mouth should be.
Right. The guy. Okay. This guy. Number one, he's been here before. This is not his first rodeo. He's quickly turning into the Mitt Romney of this campaign because he's been on a presidential campaign before multiple times. So he should know by now what you have to say, when you have to say it, how many times you have to say it in order to be to get a surge in the polls from your presidential debate. You know, like instead they just let Trump dominate it all, and then Mike Huckabee just sat in the corner like again an old bloated white guy talking about guns, God, and gravy, or whatever the fuck his book's titled. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, the comments about what was it that Huckabee said that man-made laws cannot supersede God's divine laws or
right,
something like that. Literally was the Christian version almost verbatim of uh, a, something that a sheikh, Islamic sheikh, had said in a country
I think it was
with
Iran.
Sharia law. Yeah,
I
it
think
might
it
have
was
been
in
Iran.
Iran. But yeah, the guy's off his rocker, and he's not going to become president. He's not.
Yeah, there's no way.
If he becomes president, oh my God, the things that would happen.
Conservative Christians look at him the exact same way they used to look at Fred Phelps. Just like, come on, dude, that's pushing it a little bit.
Wow, I didn't know that, but I mean, right on. Fred Phelps is like, he's a pariah now. That guy can't even get a hamburger from Wendy's. He walks in there and he's like, okay, Fred Phelps, yeah, a gay person made this hamburger, and guess what? He spit in it. Have a nice day. Like that. Fred
Well,
Phelps is that.
I don't think he'll mind because he's dead, but you know,
He's dead? When the
dude, he
fuck
died
did
a
that
couple
guy
years
die?
ago, and
Really?
he apparently I read an article. I don't know how true it was. It may have been satire, and I completely missed it. Um, Basically, that like right before his death, he kind of realized the error of his ways and started trying to tone back the church a little bit.
Hmm.
I'm willing to bet it was satire, but
I hope so. Well, I don't hope so. I hope he did actually. I'm trying to frame that in the way. I hope he did see the error of his ways before he died. Like, oh shit, I was an asshole. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
granted,
But
his
he
daughter's
died.
still out there, and she is the real life version of Crazy Eyes.
His wife, Shirley. Shirley's his wife.
That was his
And,
daughter.
oh, his daughter left the church. His
No,
daughter
one
left.
of his daughters left. Yeah, he died
No.
last year.
Oh.
No, his spouse is Margie. Shirley Phelps. She's Crazy Eyes. That's his daughter.
Oh, okay. Okay. See, this, we know more about the Kardashians than we know about the crazy people that live in this fucking world. Uh, but yeah, man.
Yeah, Nathan Phelps, his son, said that he learned that his father was excommunicated from the church in August of 2013. He died in 2014 because, yeah, I guess he realized the error of his ways. He saw that he had gone too far. So.
Wow. And his church was like, well, all right, get the fuck out of here, you You homo lover. They kicked him out of his own church. I'm in a non-PC mode apparently. If I'm offending anybody, just know that it's jokes, ladies and gentlemen. So, but yeah, wow, I didn't know he died. That must have flew under my radar, or it's either that or he died and I forgot about it. That's how much that guy meant in my life. But when he was alive, Scott, he couldn't get a hamburger from Wendy's. That's my point.
Here,
So
this'll kind of sum up what you're saying. Let me pull it up.
Okay. The line forms to piss. Oh my God. Okay, so for the people that they have been living under a rock, Fred. Oh, you're tired of my anti-religion? Nice. Oh my God.
All right, I had to pull that up. I got a good chuckle out of that one.
For the people that somehow are not aware of who Fred Phelps is, he was the Westboro Baptist Church, the ones that were picketing military funerals, or they still are picketing military funerals with "God hate fags" signs and so forth. Really, really
Thank God for
despicable
dead
people.
soldiers. Yeah.
Thank God for IEDs. It's terrible, terrible, terrible stuff that they just say. To the point where I think they're on the list of like domestic terrorists because of some of the stuff they say. But they really blurred the lines between what's acceptable freedom of speech, hate speech, to where people were like, yeah, I'm all for some limits on that freedom of speech. Like there's nobody that was like, well, except for the Westboro Baptist Church, that was like, that's not offensive. No, it was offensive. It was offensive as hell, and everybody was on the same page. Like even
You know
ISIS.
it was offensive. That's why you're famous. That's why you're doing it.
Yeah, even ISIS was probably like, whoa, 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 man.
You need to take that religious nuts down a couple notches.
Yeah. You're making us look
making
bad.
us feel bad, okay? But that does it for this week. That is all the time we have. We actually got through that entire list.
Wow.
Which is amazing. Except for the Jeb Bush thing. Want to make the rest of the U.S. like Florida. You said Palmer had a funny tweet about that.
Okay, so Jeb Bush, he said that with his record in Florida, he wants to make the rest of the United States like Florida. At which Bill Maher said, no, pretty much. He was essentially like, nobody wants to see that happen. Have you seen Florida? So, yeah, it was.
Yeah, I live in Florida, and I can't support that.
Yeah, no.
Between the education system and some of the laws down here, and
Charlie Crist,
some of the people down here, no thanks.
We've officially offended the libtards. Okay, we've offended the PC crowd, the Floridians, the Republicans,
the libtards, the Trump tards, the.
So on this episode,
I'm sure the libertarians will give us a rousing video response, much like they did with the State of the Union that puts you asleep 15 seconds into it.
Man.
God, I still remember how. Man. I don't remember many of the State of the Union response videos. I remember that one for how terrible it was.
I remember, was it Ted Cruz looked like he filmed it on an iPhone?
Yeah.
In a hotel lobby. Is this thing on? It was funny.
It's like you're a senator. Yeah, man. Your salary affords a little bit better equipment than that.
Yeah, come on, man. Call in a favor or something. But
all right. Well, it was good to have you back for after your anniversary.
Yeah, man. Again, 8 years and going strong. Whew, it's hard to believe, man. To think I've married we're 2 years away from a decade, man. 2 years away from a decade. That just let it sink in. There are people alive right now. Bear with me. There are people alive right now that have only been alive the extent of my. I don't know if I'm going with that.
My son's 9.
Train of thought.
My
Yeah,
son's
your
9.
son.
He's barely older than your marriage.
I wish he was. That's what I'm trying to get at. I wish your son was here so you get visual representation of how long I've been married. Um, but wow, yeah. Thank you for tuning in, and hopefully next week I'll have a little less uh, inability to speak. I'm just kind of get back in the swing of things from that break from the anniversary. So, with that, man.
Before we sign off, who gets the batshit crazy award of the week? We've been forgetting to do that.
Good reminding me there. Yeah, I'm gonna go non-conventional. Did we ever find out who the lady was that Ronda Rousey beat up? What was her name?
Let me pull it up real quick.
Okay. Beth Correa. That's her name.
Yep.
Correa. Remembered it. That's my nominee for the Batshit Crazy Award because you would have to be batshit crazy to get in a ring with a fully charged person like Ronda Rousey ready to kick your fucking ass in 34 seconds. So
I would agree with that, but I'm gonna have to go with Lindsey Graham.
you're going Lindsey Graham? Okay.
It's
Lindsey
just
Graham.
he just embodied everything that is wrong with politics, everything that is wrong with the Republican Party. Just stop.
Well,
At the risk of offending people, just go kill yourself.
Now Ronda Rousey's going to want to kick your ass. The good news, the silver lining for Lindsey Graham is that even if politics doesn't work out, he has a job at T-Mobile because he's really good at destroying other people's phones. So, yeah. With that, ladies and gentlemen, that was a terrible, terrible joke at the last minute at the 0 hour here. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at PolyPompous. I love getting tweeted. I love engaging in conversations in 140 characters or less because it's challenging. It's like Sudoku for me.
It contains the stupid into bite-sized chunks.
Right. Yeah. And of course, the World Wide Web, polypompous.com. Of course, yeah, I kind of had to take a hiatus for my anniversary, but I do plan on getting some more stuff out there. I've been currently engaging in a lot of debates, particularly for the debate that we just talked about. I'm talking about candidates and so forth. So I like debating, ladies and gentlemen. So if you think any of these candidates are viable and you want to talk to me about them, fucking get on Facebook. Find us at Pompously Political on Facebook and has this conversation with either myself or Scott, and we'll be happy to have that conversation with you.
Or shoot us a tweet at PolyPompous. Check out our blogs over at polypompous.com.
Yep. Spread the word, man. Preach the truth. It's the truth, man. So, with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in and have yourself a week.
Take care. Keep thinking.